the 2016 Missouri Lieutenant Governor Candidates Forum, co-hosted by Brownfield Ag News and Missouri Net.
We appreciate everybody tuning in to MissouriNet.com and also on a number of our affiliates' websites today. I'm Brian Hellsworth, the news director at Missouri Net, joined by Julie Harker, who is the news director of Brownfield. We've certainly had an informative forum. Senator Mike Parson on my left, former Congressman Russ Carnahan on my right, and I definitely want to get into transportation. I want to try to get into jobs because those are all very important. But obviously the CAFO issue, some other issues focus on a difference. I do want to ask briefly about the tone of the campaign because there have been some ads that each of you have run against the other. And I'll start with Congressman Carnahan's ad. He has your former chief of staff, Bub Zahulan, a former Republican lawmaker, taped a commercial with a Democrat from Columbia, and they brought up the Chinese farmland issue. But he said that Senator, when you were in the Missouri legislature, you wanted taxpayers to pay for valet parking. A, have you seen the ad? And B,
Sure.
your thoughts on Mr. Zahulan?
I've seen the ads. First of all, let me talk about my former employee. Number one, he resigned from my office. That's what happened there. Look, I've hired probably over 100 employees in my career, whether it was sheriff or whether it was small business, and the people at State Capitol. Let me tell you one thing: if you come to work for me, you're going to work. The bottom line is, my office is one of the busiest offices in Jeff City, and you're going to be accountable. I always hold my employees to a higher standard. If you cannot cut that, then you're just not going to be there, and that's simply what happened. He chose to resign. It's unfortunate he did what he did, but those things happen. So
was he not? Were you saying he wasn't working, or what was going on? Or can you not elaborate if it's personal?
Well, he resigned.
Sure.
That gets into a lengthy
Sure,
story.
I
But the
got
bottom
you.
line is he resigned.
Okay.
And he wasn't meeting the goals that I thought. I told you I keep a high standard for my employees. You got to work. You got to come in. You got to work hard. And that's all there is to it. If you don't do that, you're not going to be working for me very long. The Chinese deal's a bunch of baloney.
Okay.
It's a bunch of malarkeys, all that is, trying to scare the average citizen out there of what it is. I don't even know what they're talking about unless it's Smithfield, I guess. But Smithfield hires 1,100 Missouri citizens that work every day, if that's what the congressmen they're doing. It's just another, this is what happens when you become a DC insider. You start running phony commercials that are not true. There's no factual basis. And let me address the valet parking, because I was glad. And if they did their homework, if Congressman would have did his, every recording in the state of Missouri in the Senate, whether you're in committee, whether you're on the floor, is all publicly recorded. You will never find one instance where I talked about valet parking in the state capitol. Never. It is an outright lie, period. If you want to know where it come from a liberal paper in St. Louis and a Democrat that did it. But I've never, ever asked for valet parking at the state capitol. And if you want to talk about valet parking at the capitol, then we ought to be talking to Congressman about his trip to the Antarctic. If you want to talk about, if you're worried about valet parking at the state capitol here, he takes a trip to the Antarctic in a little group, which he wouldn't admit to when the Wall Street Journal called and asked him about it, and spent $50,000. Taxpayer money, I might add. Okay. Taxpayer money doing things like that. So to come up with a bogus thing about valet parking, plus it's not very original because they tried to use it in the primary election against me. So it's all phony.
Senator Parson, I appreciate that. Congressman, if you want to address the Antarctic and certainly the valet parking, and also
first I want to talk about the ad.
Sure.
So first of all, Bub Zahulan was the senator's former chief of staff. He made it real clear in several press interviews that he didn't like the way things were working in the senator's office in terms of transparency, in terms of the excessive influence of lobbyists, him being the second highest recipient of lobbyist gifts in the state, over 900 gifts totaling $45,000. One press account described him as a lobbyist magnet. Maybe that's why his office was so busy. But in terms of the valet parking issue, Senator Parsons stood on the floor of the Senate and offered an amendment to add $50,000 for parking services for legislators in the Capitol. That's a fact. You can look at the record in the Senate. It's actually a recording of it, Senator.
Okay. I do want to ask one quick thing about the tone, and then I want to get into transportation and jobs. But the ad that I've seen Senator Parson run has kind of linked you with President Obama for your vote on the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that.
Could you respond to
Absolutely. So this is part of a political game that Senator Parsons and others have played with Missourians' health care. The Affordable Care Act was put together with a bunch of Republican ideas about marketplace health care systems and competition in hopes to get Republican support, which of course they ultimately decided they weren't going to support anything that the president wanted. And then here in Missouri, Senator Parsons and others have refused $2 billion of our money at a time when we have a rural health care crisis in Missouri. 4 rural hospitals have closed. Everywhere I go, I get an earful about the difficulty in access to rural hospitals, and that money, we're losing the jobs from that money, and the coalition behind it. The Missouri Chamber of Commerce, the Missouri Hospital Association, professional groups. I mean, talk about economic development. We're losing jobs and health care for hundreds of thousands of Missourians, including an estimated 14,000 veterans. That money's not going to work here because of continued political games that Senator Parsons and others in our state have played. That needs to stop. This should be bipartisan. Senator Bond went to lobby to get folks to get support for this, Senator, as you well know. But it was no, more political games, and we've lost this money that we've paid has gone to other states now. So we need to stop the political games and get focused on putting that money to work for Missouri.
This is one thing the congressman hit on, and he's exactly right. He should know all about the lobbyist arena because he was a lobbyist. His wife still is a Washington, D.C. lobbyist. And we talked about Senator Bond. Bond got paid to lobby for the issues. What he got done, it's not, most people in Missouri got this figured out. You know, when you're a lobbyist, you get paid to advocate for the issue. You get money for it. And let me tell you something. Either Congressman's been hanging around Hillary Clinton too long or something, because if you think Obamacare and you're sitting here today trying to tell the people of Missouri this is okay, this is a good thing, this is helping our veterans, this is helping
Senator,
our seniors.
be honest about the Medicaid
there is
expansion.
Absolutely no way that this is going to be, and everybody knows it. And here's the reality of it, and this is why I say when you're in Washington, D.C., you're out of touch with Missourians, and here's why. How many people got a notice in the last weeks their insurance is going up 25%? That's not fluff. That's not baloney what he's telling you. He's just telling you words. But somebody's going to have to pay that. And you're talking about hard-working Missourians out here that can't afford it. And we all know that. And yet we're still trying to defend Obamacare, which I might add to what he said. And I encourage you to look on my Facebook, and it'll have him talking about Obamacare and talking about how great an issue it is. And there's going to be a surplus. I challenge the congressman today to tell any Missourians there's a surplus coming out of Obamacare.
Senator, you know that 85% of folks under the Affordable Care Act won't see those increases. And yes, we need to have more competition, more private sector competition and more options. That's what makes the system work better. But no, Senator Parson wants to lead the more political games and not find solutions. That's not what Missourians are looking for.
I do want to try in our final about 5, 6, 7 minutes ballpark here, guys, to get in the issue of jobs and transportation. It's very important, and I'll start with transportation. You were a former sheriff. You saw a lot of traffic fatalities. Congressman, you and the previous Congressman, Richard Gephardt, had Highway 21, one of the, as they call it, the bloodiest highways in the country, for that matter. So you've both worked on this issue, no question about that. I'll start with you, Senator. MoDOT, I did a story last month. They said that Missouri has seen a 14% increase in traffic crash fatalities between 2014 and 2015, from 766 to 870, that nationally 96 people are dying every day. In Missouri, I was told we're losing 2 people every 11 hours due to motor vehicle crashes. What should the Missouri legislature do to address transportation, and how would you push that? I'll ask you both, and I'll start with you, Senator.
No, that's fine. First of all, I've been a supporter of doing something with our infrastructure in the state. You got to do something with the ports, you got to do something with the airports, you got to do something with rail, and you got to do something with our highway system. If we keep kicking this can down the road, it's going to be problematic. I took a vote on the Senate floor this year when most people advised me not to do it because I was running for lieutenant governor, because somebody was going to use it against me in an ad, which kind of what the congressmen are talking about a while ago, how they use these ads against you. I did it because it was the right thing to do. I didn't care about me running for lieutenant governor of the state of Missouri. I voted to give the people a choice if they wanted to vote for a use tax on gas. That's the only thing I did. I'm not backing down from that one bit, from doing the right thing. And this is what's wrong with a lot of politicians today, because they're in the political arena, they don't want to do it, or they just stay with the ranking files. That's not being a leader in the state of Missouri. But we have to pay for this. We're going to have to do something with infrastructure in the state, and you're going to have to pay for it. And you're going to have to find a formula to do that. I mean, you just can't ignore this like this problem's not going to happen. And you got to have a plan. But it goes back to the original question we talked in here earlier. Can you get along, be bipartisan, with whoever the next governor is, whoever's in the House of Representatives, and who's in the Senate? But I will tell you this. If the congressman brings his Washington, D.C. influence, and you're going to vote 99% with President Obama, he's not going to reach across the aisle and get anything done. And that's just a fact, and that's a proven fact, the way the system works in Washington, D.C.
Former Congressman Carnahan, your response to what the senator said, and also to my original question.
Well, I feel like, the 8 years I was honored to serve in Washington, I don't know about the other 50 years that I've worked here in the state of Missouri, but my record is one of working in a very bipartisan way. Transportation, I served on the House Transportation Committee. The motivation for me getting on that committee, in Jefferson County, there were 2 highways that are among the top 10 most deadly highways in America. They had nicknames like Blood Alley and Death Valley. And there was a citizens group that was organized from families who had lost loved ones on these highways. And these roads weren't even on the state highway plan. Yet we worked with them. I got on this committee. Again, we worked together in a bipartisan way. There's not a Democrat or Republican way to build highways. But we have to do more than say we're going to do something. I believe that we need to develop a ground-up plan, start at the grassroots level, and that citizens know we're going to develop a plan that makes sense, they can identify their local priorities, put those together into the state priorities, determine the cost, and let voters know that at the end of the day, they're going to drive this train. They're going to help develop it, and they're the ones who are going to vote on it to prove it up or down, not somebody in Jefferson City. So that's one of the things that I am very committed to do, to build that kind of consensus, because I think if the common sense, citizens-based approach is developed in terms of what our future highway and transportation system needs to look like, and the voters know that they're going to get to approve it, I think that's the kind of way we can get this really off the fence and move important transportation and infrastructure investments forward. We know these are some of the best investments we can make in terms of safety, tourism, farm-to-market roads that we can make, create some of the best paying jobs, and can really help jumpstart our economy. So I'm very committed to that as a high priority, to help build that consensus. And if I'm honored enough to be elected lieutenant governor, I want to do that. I look forward to working with Senator Parsons in the Senate to do that.
I do want to ask one quick question about jobs, and then I'll give you both a chance to close, and we'll wrap up, and we'll keep this one fairly short. It's kind of a yes/no. Right to work. Senator Parson, would you support right to work? If obviously you can't vote on it, Lieutenant Governor, unless there's a tie, but would you support it?
I would support it, and I've always supported it. I have a track record of supporting it.
Congressman?
Right to work is not about right to work. It's about driving down wages in Missouri, and I'm absolutely against it.
You guys obviously disagree on that issue, and have over the years.
One thing I'd like to add about the right to work situation and where people are. I'm proud of my campaign. We have over 2,500 different donors across the state. Individual people out here, hardworking Missourians, just donated to our campaign. That's where 95% of my money comes from in my campaign. This is a perfect issue to bring up. Almost his entire campaign is funded by unions, not hardworking Missourians, by special interest group as unions and trial attorneys. And that's the difference between people out here trying to stick up for the state of Missouri. Whether you agree or not, having the special interest totally fund your campaigns is wrong.
I think union workers in this state are going to be surprised and disappointed that Senator Parsons thinks that they're not hardworking Missourians. They are.
Okay. I'm going to give each of you a chance to make a closing statement. We're going out before a good radio audience and obviously the stream as well. I'll start with you, Senator Parson, then I'll let the Congressman give his final thoughts. Why should Missourians vote for you for Lieutenant Governor in a week and a day?
Right. Well, I think you just need to know the difference in the two candidates. A United States Army veteran that served this country, a former sheriff in law enforcement of 20-plus years, a third-generation farmer that really works the farm day in and day out, a small business owner, a family man that's started a humble life, that's been blessed and fortunate in my career to live the American dream. And I think to preserve that American dream for the next generations is the most important thing we can do as statesmen. And the difference between me and Congressman Carnahan is pretty simple. If you believe in Barack Obama, the President of the United States, which he supported his entire time in Congress, if you believe in Hillary Clinton, which he's endorsed, if you believe in the Obamacare, which he supported and went on the trail to try to sell that to Missourians, which was just a bag of tricks, is all it was. When he was in Congress, the national debt went up $8.8 trillion when he was sitting in a congressman's seat. He compared in a congressman hearing Harry S. Truman to Hillary Clinton. Harry S. Truman to Hillary Clinton. That's a joke for the people of Missouri that we had a proud president that lived here, in my opinion. He has been part of the problem that's got our country in the shape it is, with the over-regulatory environment that we live in. Those are the total differences between me and Congressman Carnahan. How in the world, when you've been such of the problem in the United States Congress and our federal government, and you want to come back here now and tell Missourians, oh, I'm here to help, I'm here to fix things, when it's been nothing but a total disaster the entire time he's served the people of Missouri and Washington, D.C.
That's Senator Mike Parson, former Congressman Russ Carnahan. Why should people vote for you for Lieutenant Governor in a week and a day?
Well, first of all, thank you all for having us, and I appreciate Senator Parsons showing up for this forum. He missed 3 before at the Westlake landfill in St. Louis, and missed one in Columbia with mayors, and then missed one in Springfield with doctors about Medicaid expansion. So I'm glad that he came here today. I am running because I love this state, and I think people of goodwill working together can actually get things done. People are tired of the political food fight in Jefferson City. They're tired of the special interest that are just running the show. And if you stop 10 people out on the street anywhere in Missouri and said, do you think it's working for you here that we have a system that allows unlimited political donations, unlimited lobbyist gifts that Senator Parsons is the #2 recipient of, and almost no limits for the revolving door from legislator to lobbyist? They'll give you an earful. If you ask people if they think we should expand Medicaid, invest those dollars here, have better access to hospitals, especially in rural Missouri, they say, of course you do. That's common sense. Senator Parsons doesn't believe that. If you think we ought to have protect those farmers out there from more foreign ownership and more, no regulation at all with industrial factory farms, then Senator Parsons is your guy. But I think if you want a common sense approach and a proven record working together both in the Missouri House and in the U.S. House, that's always been my approach. I've always had an open door, and I've worked with both parties to actually get things done. I think that's what people expect.
Well, I want to thank both of the candidates for joining us. We've covered as many issues as we can in the time that we've had, including qualifications, the statutory responsibilities, the fact that whoever wins could be voting in the Senate and could be presiding, and then other issues as well, agriculture, economic development, and jobs. I also want to thank Julie Harker. Good job, as always, Julie, on the agriculture issues. Folks, the election is a week and a day away. It is Tuesday, November the 8th. We encourage everyone to vote. We'll have election night coverage that night, all night, on Missouri Net. Senator Mike Parson, Republican of Bolivar, former Congressman Russ Carnahan, Democrat from St. Louis. We appreciate both of you coming in and wish you both the best.
Thank you for having us here today.
Thank you.
And we appreciate everyone for tuning in today. This is Brian Houseworth. Have a great day.
The 2016 Missouri Lieutenant Governor Candidates Forum, co-hosted by Brownfield Ag News and Missouri Net.